Why am I in the USA? Why am I on Wall Street? Why am I at the Empire State Building? So, this video, as you can tell, is about prepositions of place, in, on, at, and by. And by the end of this video, you will know more about how to use these prepositions. Also, I will make a PDF with the link in the bio that will help you. So check the link in the bio and hopefully you enjoy the video. So if you have not seen my previous video on prepositions of time, go check it out. And just like in prepositions of time, prepositions of place follow a similar pattern. So again, with in being the least specific, so think of boundaries or enclosed spaces, right? You also have large areas, so countries, cities, neighborhoods. For example, I am in New York. You also have enclosed spaces, right? So think of rooms, buildings, cars. I am in the kitchen. I am in the car. Now, on is a bit more specific. So think of lines and surfaces. So, for example, with lines, you have streets, coasts, right? I am on Wall Street. I am on the East Coast. So now for surfaces, think of walls, tables, or screens, right? There's a picture on the wall. The keys are on the table. And now at is the most specific, right? So thinking about putting an X on a map, okay? You have addresses in buildings. So for example, I live at 123 Main Street. I am at the Empire State Building. And you also have events, right? So I am at a party. I'm at a conference. So now you have the general overview. We'll go over each one in more detail. So now for in, okay, imagine a square with a border and you are inside that square. So in is the least specific and refers to larger areas or places, right? So you have an enclosed space and also consider that there is a boundary, okay? So now for large areas, you have continents, countries, cities, and neighborhoods. So I live in Canada. I live in Toronto. I lived in the downtown neighborhood, okay? So now for enclosed spaces. Imagine you are entering something, okay? So you have a room, a car, for example, right? So I am in the kitchen, right? I am in my car. And now a confusing area is on the bus, in the car. In the car, think about it, it's small, you can't stand, right? And you also have other boundaries. So you have, for example, you can enter something. So the keys are in the bag, my hands are in my pocket, and here are some common expressions with in, right? So we don't say on bed, we say in bed when you're sleeping, right? So, oh, I was in bed all day. Also, another example with a border in a photo, right? So she is in the picture. And then we also have in a movie or in a book, right? So Chris Hemsworth is in Thor. So for on, imagine a line such as a street or a coast, and also imagine a surface, right, such as a wall or a table. So we use on when referring to surfaces, lines, and specific expressions, and it is a bit more specific than in, right? So now for a surface, so something is physically touching a surface, right? The book is on the table. There's a stain on your shirt. The picture is on the wall. Now for lines, roads, coasts, etc., right? I am on Wall Street. Miami is on the East Coast. So now this area is a bit confusing when regarding transportation. So you are on a bus, you're on a plane, and you're on a train. The difference between on a bus, on a plane, and on a train versus in a car. You can stand on a train, you can stand on a bus, and you can stand on a plane, okay? And then some common expressions that you have on a list. Think about it. A list is also a surface. You're also on a team, and you are also on a diet, right? So these are just three common expressions that are used with on. So now at, again, it is the most specific. And imagine you have a map and you're pointing to an X on the map, okay? So now for specific locations, right? I am at the Empire State Building. She is at the door, right? We are at the restaurant. Now for addresses, right? I live at 123 Main Street and the bus is at the corner, okay? So now you have at in address, which is specific, and then we use on for streets, right? There's no number, there's no address. We also use at for public places, right? Schools, workplaces, airports, etc., right? I am at school, I'm at the mall, I'm at the gym, okay? So as you can see, at is more specific. And again, pretend you have a map and you can point to it on the map. So now we have the easiest preposition of place, by, right? Think of something you live close to. You can also say think of something you live by, okay? So we use by to indicate near or beside something, okay? So the hotel is by the beach. She lives by the park. There is a cafe by the train station, right? These are all close to a location. So you can also have something that is by an object, okay? He sat by the window. She put her bag by the door. And there's a lamp by the bed, right? So by, pretty simple, close to or near something. So now we have some confusing areas. So you are at the beach, right? This is just a general location anywhere near the beach. We spent the weekend at the beach, right? Now, on the beach, this refers to specifically being on the sand, right? So, oh, I like sun tanning on the beach. And then in the water, again, you're inside of it, if that makes sense, right? So, if you're in the water, you're swimming, okay? The kids are swimming in the water. And this one, right, is on the water. So, there is something on the water that would be the surface of the water, okay? So now at the park versus in the park. So at the park, general location, you could be close to it, you could be inside it, right? So I'll meet you at the park at 4 p.m. Now in the park, imagine there's an entrance, okay? You could be inside the park, for example, right? We had a picnic in the park, we're physically inside the park, right? So if you're standing at the entrance, you can say at, and then if you're inside, if you entered, you can say in the park. So now at the hospital, in the hospital, okay? So if you're at the hospital, you're visiting, for example, right? So I'm at the hospital, you are visiting someone. If you're in the hospital, you're admitted, you are a patient, okay? So I'm in the hospital, I broke my hand. So now at school versus in school. So if you're at school, this refers to the physical location, right? My son is at school right now. He is inside the building. If you're in school, it refers to being enrolled in school as a student, okay? So she is still in school and hasn't graduated yet. So if a student is physically inside the classroom, they should say I'm at school. And if they're referring to their education, I am in school. So now as a summary, okay? So in, again, you're inside something. Think of a border, a boundary. On, think of a line or a surface. And at, think of a specific place you can point to on the map, okay? Thank you for watching. I hope this video was helpful and see you next video.